Hi, my name is Frankie. Thank you for listening to my mom. I never listen.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, then you already know how much I care about offense. I think of everything in circles. I think of everything in 360. I think about being offensive minded in everything that I do. And I'm so pleased to spend some time this afternoon with Caitlin Clark. She's a freshman. If you haven't heard of her, let me just give you a couple of things real quick. She grew up in Iowa, in West Des Moines. She went to Dowling Catholic, which is a powerhouse high school girls basketball program in the Midwest. She played for All Iowa Attack, which is a fantastic team and program in the EYBL. And there's been a lot of great D1 players that have come out of that program. Caitlin's 6 feet tall, and she's the point guard for Lisa Bluter's Iowa Hawkeyes. So, Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Caitlin, I want to break down a little bit from some of your past experiences. You have so many accolades. We could spend the whole podcast talking about your brilliant background and all the things that you have won as an individual or a team. Instead, I want to dive right into this. I want to know, what was it like for you growing up in Des Moines, in a place that I know cares about basketball, and when did you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I fell in love with the game really young. It's like I have an older brother, so whenever I was younger, I would just go to his basketball practices, and I was always dribbling around. And I have a younger brother too, so I was always playing against the boys when I was young. Like that's what I did. I played in an all boys league. My dad even coached our team. Like I was just super competitive, and my parents just didn't really know what to do with me, so they just threw me in with the boys. And I honestly give that a lot of credit to like who I am today. Like I don't think if I played with the boys, I would be as good a player as I am. So,
Well, there's no question your brothers pushed you. In what ways did they challenge you? And was there ever a time where you went in the house complaining that they were beating you up?
all the time, I would cry all the time. They definitely never took it easy on me, especially my older one. They would beat down on me, and I have some boy cousins too that are older than me they would always come over. We'd always be outside, and we'd have some injuries. I think it kind of drove my mom a little crazy sometimes, but it was all fun. But definitely some tears. But we're past that now. We're all each other's biggest fans, which is good.
Did any of those backyard brawls end up in the hospital emergency room?
Actually, I think it was the winter. We had like a little like Nerf hoop in the basement, and I was playing my little brother, and I just chucked him in the wall, and his head cracked open, and it was bleeding. He just like put his hand back, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was like, "Mom!" And then my mom had to take him to doctors. Now he had like staples all in the back of his head. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. So now we know what we're dealing with right here, Caitlin. You aren't taking any trash talk, no crap off of anybody, right?
Right, that's right.
So your family, I read where 11 of your family members played college sports. Assuming that's men and women.
Yep.
Just a little breakdown. Who played hoops?
I have an older cousin that played at Creighton, Audrey Faber. She graduated 2 years ago. And then I had another one that was a walk on at Drake for a little while, but then she gave it up. And then I have an older boy cousin who plays at Rockhurst, the D2 in Kansas City area. And then one runs track now at SDSU, so South Dakota State. And then my brother plays football at Iowa State. And then another cousin plays football at Morehead State, which is a D2 school in
Yeah,
Kentucky area, I think. So
yeah, that's
I'm
right.
probably missing a few, but I have a lot of cousins. My mom has 6 siblings, so there's a lot of us.
Are you guys all about the same age, and do they all follow you? And is there some sort of like major text chain that everybody gets on when they know you're playing and you're on TV?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right in the middle, but I'm stuck between all the boy cousins. All the girls are either older, and then there's a couple younger ones. But I'm stuck between all the boys, which again, like they didn't take it easy on me, especially on holidays like Easter egg hunts. Like I wouldn't get anything. But yeah, we have like a Snapchat group, and we're all close with each other, and it's good to have them. So
Okay, so I didn't want to jump too far ahead, but I do have to ask you this since you brought up your brother Blake. I know he plays football at Iowa State. Did you guys have a little side bet going on? And then what was it like to hit the game winner in that one?
yeah, I mean, he's not like that, and I'm not like that either. But Iowa and Iowa State haven't played in football yet since I've been here, so I haven't been able to talk any crap. But I honestly wouldn't. I'm his biggest fan. He's my biggest fan. So he was honestly just really happy I made that shot, and happy for me to have that success. So
Yep, blood is definitely thicker than the rivalry, that's for sure. Well, Lisa said, Coach Bluter said that she has been recruiting you since the 8th grade.
Yeah.
What was that like? And did you always know that Iowa was the place for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I was like in 8th grade, kind of even in freshman year, my parents like kind of helped with the whole recruiting thing just because they like I'm an 8th grader. I'm what, 13, 14 years old. Like they don't want me having to worry about that. Just be a kid for a little while. So honestly, I appreciated that. But yeah, they had recruited me for a while, and this is one of the first places I visited. I came to the Iowa Michigan football game. Must have been 4 years ago now, where they made the last second kick when Michigan was ranked pretty high. But no, like I didn't really know it was Iowa right away, not really till it came down to my final 3, and it was a really hard decision just because I had so many good options and they all felt like I could be successful at all of them, so it was difficult, but now that I chose Iowa, I definitely know that I'm in the spot I need to be in.
What was your college prep like to be able to come into the game at this level and to be able to produce right away? Like, I want to know what were you thinking? Like, was it a I'm going to be able to make all my times as soon as I get there. I'm going to be the best in the weight room. I'm going to be able to produce right away from the top of the floor and score and bring all these attributes that I bring. What was that like? Your mindset stepping into it?
Yeah, honestly, like, just be myself, but just getting here in the summer, like, just building relationships with your teammates, and so you can build that chemistry so they trust you. I mean, I'm a freshman point guard. That's a big role, and you need to have trust between your teammates. So I honestly think that's a big one. But I honestly wouldn't say I was going to expect to score 25 points a game. Like I honestly didn't think I would score that many. But scoring is part of my game, so I'm honestly not surprised in that area for sure.
Well, right now at the taping of this podcast, you're at 25.6 points per game, which is fourth in the country, and you're ninth in the nation in assists at 6.5. So when you start talking about shoot till your arm falls off or a ticket selling player, which are a couple of my hashtags that I like to talk about on the women's side, uh, when you, I mean, how do you put an offensive skill set together that allows you to come in and produce right away like that? Like what's the journey like to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think well, I started USA basketball when I was probably I think after my freshman year of high school, and honestly, that just showed me a lot, and a lot of things to work on. So I honestly give credit to that. And then I have a trainer that I work out with a lot, and it's a lot of off the dribble. You can't just be a set shooter if you want to be exciting and a great offensive player. So it's a lot of off the dribble stuff and being able to score at 3 levels. I think that's super important. You don't want to be one dimensional. Even that even goes along with rebounding and being able to pass the ball as well. So
I've read this about you. I've heard these words used to describe you: unselfish, a consummate playmaker, an offensive firepower. Uh, which one of those resonates the most with you?
that's hard. I don't know. That's hard. It's hard to pick one because I want to be all three. For sure. And I think everybody has a little selfishness to them, and I think the great players even need to have that. But I think if you have that trust with your teammates, they know if you take a bad, like I'm still learning. If I take a bad shot, like because I had to take that shot in high school, so I'm still learning in that area for sure. But I just know that I can trust my teammates and put them in positions to score. But I have a lot of confidence on offense, and I think that that's what makes me great more than anything is that I trust my shot. If I miss 5 in a row, I'm probably going to shoot the sixth and the seventh shot. So
Isn't that the way it should be for a shooter that's put in the time, that's put in the reps, that knows that you can make the next play? Isn't that where your mindset should be every time? How come most players don't think like that?
exactly. I mean, I think it's more in the women's game more than the men's game. I just think girls sometimes just shy away from being confident and trust in the work that they've put in. Not even on even basketball, just in life. Like just trust yourself, trust your confidence, and know that you've put in that work. That's why I go to the gym pretty much every single day after practice, just because I know I can fall back on that work that I put in every single game.
Okay, I'm unofficially going to say that I've heard you use the word trust 5 or 6 times since we've been visiting. So, how do you
Yeah.
build that? How do you get that where your teammates trust you? You're right. You're a freshman point guard. You come in, you're a hot shot scorer. You know, you've got all these accolades. You're a big timer. You're a headliner. You're a ticket selling player. How do you get them to trust you?
I think a big thing is just like making sure they know you're not perfect. Like I make mistakes, and the coaches let me know. I don't have a free pass for anything, and they know they can tell me too. So I think it's just like being honest with your teammates. Admit to when you make a mistake. Admit to when you take a bad shot. It just makes them feel better and like, oh, she knows. Okay, like next play she'll get us something better. So I think that's a big one.
What are you most excited about the Big Ten race and about the teams in the Big Ten? You're coming into the league where it's a particularly balanced, really good, anybody can win sort of league.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best league in the country for sure. So I like exciting close games. I don't like blowouts, so that's what I love about the league. Every single night, you're gonna have to be on your A game if you want to win, and that's what makes it exciting. And I think that brings a lot of attention to women's basketball. So that's what I'm excited for. We have a bunch of hard games coming up, and it just drives us to get better. So
What has been one of your favorite things so far about dealing with the COVID, having classes online, and getting to play a lot of basketball? Like right now, you guys have been able to get a lot of extra time in the gym, a lot of practice time, a lot of film session. What, what have you enjoyed the most about the whole experience?
honestly, just being able to like put extra time into my game. All my classes are online, so it's easier for me to do that rather than have to rush out of practice and be in person. And then also just like getting all the time with your teammates. Like that's the only thing you can really do because they're in your circle. So I think especially as a freshman and as a starting point guard, like that's big for me. Just getting to build those relationships off the court as well.
What are some of the things you guys have been doing off the court while you're sitting around? You can't go to a restaurant. There's so many things that the college students are sacrificing, and quite frankly, all of us are sacrificing because of COVID. What have you enjoyed doing the most with your teammates off the court?
Yeah, we had like a friendsgiving, so that was fun, like a teamsgiving. We play like cards, we play board games. We watch The Bachelorette together or The Bachelor together. So that's fun. Or we just watch movies. Or a lot of times we'll like turn on the men's game now that the men will be playing on different days than us. So that's always fun to watch too.
Have you learned anything from watching Luca Garza this year?
He's a workhorse. He never stops working. He never gives up. That's what I love about him when watching his game.
Is there any particular shooting drill or something that you would offer advice to a young player, like a seventh or eighth grade little Caitlin Clark that's out there that's watching you right now and wants to be the kind of player that you are?
Um, uh, honestly, for shooting, like my dad when I was younger, he always made me stay close to the basket to start and make sure my form was good. Because I think a lot of kids now just watch so much NBA and see Steph Curry jacking up crazy threes. But I think it's just so important to have good form and stay close to the basket. And I was always get mad at my dad because he wouldn't let me shoot threes right when I got to the gym. I'd have to work to get back there. Um, but other than that, honestly, ball handling, I think that's kind of a lost art sometimes. I think being able to dribble the ball is just huge. Like it's just becoming more and more of a guards game, and you need to be able to pass the ball, dribble the ball, and be able to score.
Caitlin, it is 100% a guards game. Don't let anybody ever tell you anything different. And your
That's right.
dad sounds like the same dad that would tell a 10 or 11 or a 12-year-old not to be throwing a curveball. I mean, right? I mean, that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like. You sound like you have such a great family with such great faith and relationships. What do your parents mean to you?
Oh, they mean everything for sure. And it's nice that I'm only an hour 45 from home right now. So they've been at all my games, and it's just been great. Obviously my brother's football season just ended. So our game versus Ohio State 2 days ago was the first game that my whole family was able to be at. So that was special. And it's like we were all together again since like May because he's been up at school the whole time just because COVID he didn't come home. So it means a lot. Obviously, they're my biggest supporters, and they've made a lot of sacrifices for me. And it's just been amazing to have them along this journey with me.
I've been calling games in college basketball for 33 years, and special talents come along. Not so, I mean, you're a special talent. You've got a lot of skill. You've got obviously the heart. You've got the mental acumen for it. You've got IQ. What have you learned the most about watching film? Because I find that some players that have your skill set that have had so many experiences internationally and everything that you've done, but you really spend a lot of time watching film when you get to college. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is just sometimes I have a lot of turnovers right now. I think that's a big focus for me moving forward is just taking care of the ball. And I'm kind of a risky player. Like I'm gonna try to make the long court fancy pass sometimes, and sometimes I can complete it, and other times it's like no, just make the easy pass. So I think on film is just learning to take care of the ball better and make the easy pass to find open shooters or just stay safe, especially in the press break because we've seen a lot of presses this year for sure.
What's so fascinating about playing in the era of social media is that, when I look at the top recruits that are in your freshman class and I start going like Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Camila Cardoso, I'm assuming that those top 5 players, including yourself, that you guys all have some sort of relationship, like you've played against each other, you know each other. What is that like when you've got just particularly those 5? I mean, I could name another, 50 other players, but what's your relationships like with them, and what have you learned from players at that high level? Haley Van Lith from Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was just teammates with Paige and Haley and Cameron. Not this summer, but the summer before that. So I'm still good friends with them. Paige and Haley actually texted me before my first game and after my first few, like, "You're killing it, keep it up." So honestly, we just all support each other, and I think that's huge for women's basketball. We don't need just one star. I think all of us understand that, and I think sometimes that gets a little distorted. Like people think just one person is going to be the end all be all. So I think it's great. Like we all want each other to succeed, and I think that's a big thing. We're all there to support each other.
I think that's incredible. I mean, when in my day and when Lisa Bluter was playing, we didn't know anybody on the other teams. We never knew them. You played them and you
Right.
wanted to beat them and you moved on, and that was pretty much it. This is an era where with the social media and the way college athletics is being framed moving forward, name, image, and likeness is something that is going to be part of what you're going to get to deal with, not necessarily have to deal with, but get to deal with. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't been a very vocal person on that for sure. I think it'll still be a couple more years before anything really starts happening with that. But I honestly don't have as many followers or whatnot compared to Haley and Paige. So I think it'll affect more so them, but especially down the road in a few years, I think our team will get a lot better and more attention. So I think that'll come into play more and more. And I think it'll be interesting for sure to see how that affects not only like women's basketball, just other sports and recruiting in the future. I think a lot of things could change down the road.
Caitlin, if I'm playing against you and I'm given a self scout, right, or you're giving me your self scout, what is 1 or 2 things that you absolutely don't want to try to take away from me? Like you're going to try to take away, make me go left? No problem. You're going to try to cut down my window in transition? No problem. What are you thinking?
Huh. Honestly, I like my step back to my left. So if you take that away, if you make me step back to my right, I'm not as comfortable. I hope coaches don't watch this and hear this, but
Oh, the whole
uh,
world's going to know now. Now they all know how to break it
I,
down and take
I
a.
can I still got a shot having to step back to my right, but I prefer going to my left. But other than that, I think pressuring me full court, having somebody like right there in my face, because that's when us as a team thrive. Like we like to get out and run. So if you give anybody space to make a pass, to make a play, it's going to be hard to stop us.
That's one area where the game has changed significantly. There used to be a time when you pressured somebody up the floor, if their handle wasn't tight enough, they were going to turn it over. Now, most teams have the same attitude that you and Coach Bluter bring is that go ahead, press us, open up the court. We're going to pass an advanced pass. We're going to run. We're going to cut. We're going to get open threes on the backside. I mean,
Right.
that's a fun style to play in, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I came here because it's a read and react offense. It's you just read your teammates and it's kind of like a freelance. Just go off what your teammates are doing, set screens, draft drives, anything like that, ball screens. I think ball screens are huge. Personally, I don't like defending them, so I know when I'm on offense, that's what I want to get.
Well, everybody's going to put you in ball screen action to try to get you in foul trouble, right?
Hey, I've got better. I've got better. So
Okay, let's go. Let's look at ball screen from the other side. Now tell me, teach me as a point guard. I'm not worried about the first level, the person guarding me. Teach me something I need to know about the second level.
yeah, I mean, obviously you have to know if they're showing, flooding, whatever, whatnot, I think. And then after coming off that, if your post is open, that's kind of your first look for me, especially just because I have Monica in the post who shoots like 80% every game, I swear. So if I can get her a layup, that's my first look. And then, especially if they're flooding, I'm probably going to pull up for either a three or a mid range shot. And then if they're going over and she's kind of trailing on me, I'm probably going to attack the rim. So those are kind of my reads. Obviously, I can get away from it sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I love ball screens. And Coach Bluter likes to set them, so I think that's a great thing about our offense, especially having a great post. I think they're very versatile. So
I know Coach Bluter is going to listen to this back, so I'm just going to go and tell you this: that I don't care. I want you to shoot till your arm falls off. If you see something that you think you can get a shot off, go ahead, shoot till your arm falls off. Is that all right with you?
I agree with you, but I don't know if Coach Bluter would say the same sometimes.
Yeah, she definitely would not say the same things. She would not. I've known her for a long time, and I don't think that's what she would say. But I do agree with you about the read and the react, and how much fun it is to play that style of play. So one of the things that I say on the air is I define really good point guards by the 3 W's: who to get the ball to, when, and where. If you know those 3 answers, you're a hell of a point guard. If you were going to break down the personnel on your team, and I'm not going to take you through like a quiz and test you on it, but do you know who's the best in transition, who's the best on a curl, who's the best off a stagger, who's a better exit cutter than they are basket cutter, things like that?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't know, especially as a point guard. Like, don't put your teammates in positions where they're going to make a mistake. And I think even my high school coach preached that to me, and my AAU coach too. Like, as a point guard, that's almost your turnover, even if it counts to them. So I think that's huge. You got to know your teammates, especially as a point guard, and you're putting them in positions to score. So
One thing more, and then I'll let you go, because I could keep you all day. You and I could go back and forth, and I hope we'll get to do this
yeah,
again. I
sure.
love talking hoops. I'm talking to you. I got a game on. I got another game over here. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff going on myself because I am a junkie like you.
Yeah.
What is one of the things that you have admired the most about having an opportunity to play for Lisa? She's been in the game a long time. She spent her whole career in Iowa. She loves the state of Iowa and basketball and girls basketball in that state. What would you say about what an incredible ambassador she's been, or what your experience has been so far with Lisa?
It's hard to choose one thing. I think personally for me, like just the trust she's had in me. I'm a first year point guard that starts. So I think she has a lot of trust in me, which makes me feel good on the court. Obviously I make mistakes, but she trusts me. She trusts me to make the right play. And I think that says a lot about who she is. And then I think she's done a lot for this community. I mean, we're like top 10 in attendance most years, or close to it, maybe top 15. So she's really brought this community together. They love women's basketball. They support women's basketball. And I think that's just great for the game and great for our community. So
Caitlin Clark, freshman, 25.5 points a game, to be number 4 in the nation at the taping of this podcast. You've made my day, because I could talk offense all day. And I appreciate you spending some time with us, Caitlin. Thank you.
oh, yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll look forward to watching you and following you down the road. Keep up the great work, and keep that big smile and that infectious game going, because there's a lot of little girls watching that want to be just like you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will.